Shalom and welcome everyone out there on YouTube. This is Chazak Aliyahu Yasharal. And along with my co-host, Mahar Kuhn Yasharal, we will be with you this week. And we'll be looking at food. That's what we'll be looking at this week. All right, so what else do I have to do? Oh, start the recording here. Start recording. Oh, start the recording here. Okay, I got it. All right, shalom and welcome everyone. Huh? Yeah, it's on. The radio is on. Shalom and welcome everyone as we are here on Just the Red Radio for another teaching. And this week we'll be looking at food pollution and the end time saints. We'll be looking at the evil that is being perpetrated today, the use of food to destroy the people of the Most High, the use of food to destroy. Oh boy, when you are doing these things, you have to pick and choose what you say because we get in trouble for these words. So sometimes I start speaking and I realize, but we are going to be talking about the evil of food in the modern day world. And the wicked, of course, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked, Job 9:24. And the wicked, of course, is using food to good use. We are in the time of the mark of the beast, where he causeth all. And food is one of the medium that is being used to cause all to take their mark. All right. The mark that they have in their thing is the same thing that they are using food to spread through the human population. And there's nothing funny there or anything strange, because food was where sin began. In the Garden of Eden, the first sin was undertaken in man through the use of food. So when we see Genesis 3:6, this is the sin. And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, good to eat, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to make one wise, she took of the fruit thereof and did eat, and gave also unto her husband with her, and he did eat. So the temptation coming from food is, what are we going to do? When we see that it is a food that tastes good, food that we love and have always loved, what are we going to do? Are we going to take of it and did eat and give it to others and make them eat as well? Never ever forget the first sin, because the end of the scriptures explain the beginning and the beginning explains the end. Habereshit, Genesis explains Chisayon or Revelation, and Revelation explains the book of Genesis. Both of them intertwine, because as it was in the beginning, so shall it be in the end. All right? So we're going to take our journey through food. So as we were speaking about Adam, you have to understand that we have a wicked heart that we inherited from Adam. So Adam, when his wife took of the fruit and ate the fruit, Adam, the wicked heart that was in Adam, did not make him say, "No, Kwa, you should not have eaten this. Why did you eat it? You were told not to eat it." "No, I'm not going to eat it." No, Adam did not do that. The wicked heart that was in Adam made him do the same thing commit the same transgression as the woman committed. And the onus is on us now who say we are believers. When we see people committing these sins, what are we going to do? Are we going to follow them and did eat? So let's go and read about the wicked heart that we inherited from Adam. 2 Ezra 3, verse 17.
And it came to pass that when thou leadest his seed out of Egypt, thou broughtest them up to the Mount Sinai.
I'm speaking about the children of Israel now. Verse 18.
And bowing the heavens, thou didst set fast the earth, movest the whole world, and madest the depth to tremble, and troublest the men of that age.
So in order to move the children of Israel, the Most High did a whole lot of supernatural things, powerful things. Verse 19.
19. And thy splendor went through 4 gates of fire and of earthquake and of wind and of cold, that thou mightest give the law unto Moses of Jacob, the law unto the seed of Jacob, and diligence unto the generation of Israel.
Verse 20.
And yet tookest thou not away from them a wicked heart, that thy law might bring forth fruit in them.
Now this is very important. Yeah.
Am I echoing someone? Anyone else hear any echoing?
Yeah, I'm hearing it.
Which one is yours?
Try again.
Try again.
Let me do 20. And yet tookest thou not away from them a wicked heart, that thy law might bring forth fruit in them.
This is the verse right here. We got the wicked heart from Adam, and the Most High moved heaven and earth to move the children of Israel. But very important, he did not take away from them a wicked heart, that the law might bring forth fruit in them. We have to give up our wicked heart. That is it. The Most High did not take away the wicked heart. We have to give up on this wicked heart. Verse 21.
For the first Adam bearing a wicked heart transgressed and was overcome, and so be all they that are born of him.
All right. So Adam bowed to the first sin, which was food. All right. And was overcome. So all of us who are born of him have the same heart and the same propensity to sin. So when the temptation for food comes before us, we are going to have the propensity of Adam. Verse 22.
Thus infirmity was made permanent, and the law also in the heart of the people, with the malignity of the root, so that the good departed away, and the evil abode still.
So if we don't give up on this wicked heart of Adam, the infirmity is going to be made permanent. We are going to permanently be able to overcome sin. And mixed with the law that is in us, telling us that we should not do this, because the infirmity is permanent, as the Apostle Shaul says, when I hear that I should not do this, that is what I want to do. We are going to want to do that which is evil if the same heart of Adam is still in us. And the good will depart away, and we will abide in evil, thinking that we are in righteousness. Very important that we understand this. Okay? But give thanks unto the Most High. He gave us another Adam. He gave us an opportunity to become spiritual man through the second Adam. 1 Corinthians 15:39. The problem is most of us still abide in the old Adam, thinking we are changed. That is the danger. 1 Corinthians 15:39. Read, please.
All flesh is not the same flesh, but there is one kind of flesh of men, another flesh of beasts, another of fishes, and another of birds.
Continue.
There are also celestial bodies and bodies terrestrial, but the splendor of the celestial is one, and the splendor of the terrestrial is another.
Continue.
There is one splendor of the sun, and another splendor of the moon, and another splendor of the stars, for one star different from another star in splendor.
42.
So also is the resurrection of the dead. It is sown in corruption, it is raised up in corruption.
All right. So all of us corrupted from Adam from day one, sown in corruption. But for us to partake of the resurrection of the dead, which is what we strive for as believers, for us to partake of it, we have to now be sown in, raised in incorruption. 43.
It is sown in dishonor, it is raised in splendor. It is sown in weakness, it is raised in power.
So remember, we are talking about food. Sown in dishonor, it's talking about Adam, raised in splendor. So the state that Adam is in, we have to be the opposite in the end. It is sown in weakness, bowed through his weakness. It is raised in power. We must have power. We must not be weak in the end to qualify for the resurrection of the dead. 44.
It is sown in a natural body. It is raised a spiritual body. There is a natural body and there is a spiritual body.
So this is it. The natural body is the body of Adam that just naturally reacts and responds to things carnally, taking care of what the flesh desires, of what the current situation is, of how I feel right now, not looking at the spiritual, not living in a spiritual body. So it is sown a natural body, it is raised a spiritual body. There's a natural body and there is a spiritual body. 45.
45. And so it is written, the first man Adam was made a living soul. The last Adam was made a quickening spirit rock.
Quickening rock. All right. So the first Adam was made a living soul. That is the human being. But when we follow the last Adam, like him, we are made a quickening rock, a rock that is alive. Verse 46.
Howbeit that was not first which is spiritual, but that which is natural, and afterward that which is spiritual.
So this is us now. We were first natural. But when we accept the Messiah, afterwards we must be spiritual. 47.
The first man is of the earth, earthy. The second man is Yahuwah from heaven, the master from heaven.
All right, so the first man is of the earth, earthy. The first Adam was earthy, just thinking about his belly. The second man, Adam, is the master from heaven, and those who follow him likewise will be spiritual, will be heavenly, just as he is heavenly. Or verse 48 says it. Go ahead.
As is the earthy, such are they also that are earthy. And as the heavenly, such are they also that are heavenly.
All right, so who are we following? Are we earthy as the first Adam, or are we heavenly as the second Adam? That is the question. Verse 49.
And as we have borne the image of the earthy, we shall also bear the image of the heavenly.
Those who are set apart, those who are walking in the way. All right? Sometimes we see these verses, it's not talking about everybody. Speaking about those who have been transformed, those who are walking in the way, in obedience to the Messiah. So that is it. We have our lifeline in Messiah Yahusha. All right, so let's go back to the beginning now when we were given food. Because in Genesis 1:27-31, got to go back to the beginning. (27) No, come on. Genesis 1:27. Read, please.
Brother Pedro, please mute. So Allah created man in his own image. In the image of Allah created he him. Male and female created he them.
Continue.
And Allah blessed them, and Allah said unto them, be fruitful and multiply, and replenish the earth and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over every living thing that moveth upon the earth.
So man was created and given dominion right away. Verse 29.
And Allah said, behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed, which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree in which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed. So, to you it shall be for meat.
All right, so this was going back to the original. Originally, the Most High only gave us grass to eat. When I say grass, I don't mean literal grass. I mean the vegetables and fruits and trees that bore different fruits. That was what we got for food. When you see from meat here, it means for food. Okay? This was original meal for us. Now we have man polluting our food supply. Why are we afraid to go back to this? Anyway, we will get back to that soon. Verse 30.
And to every beast of the earth, and to every fowl of the air, and to everything that creepeth upon the earth, wherein there is life, I have given every green herb for meat, and it was so.
And it was so. So even the lions, everything, all of these things you see eat grass one at a time. And we see in prophecy that says that it's going to happen once again. I think it's in Jeremiah 31. That it's going to happen again. Let me see if it is there. Quickly, if it's there, we can just quickly look at it. Jeremiah 31. No. No, I can't see it quickly enough. I would have to search for it. Yeah, I'll have to search for it. I can't see it quickly enough. I just wanted to interject it, but that's okay. All right. So, man was given herbs as food, but man did not behave himself as we know. And the Most High reduced man's lifespan. Genesis 6, Bereshit 6, 1-3. Most High said, you know what, you're not behaving yourself now. Can't take you. 1-3.
And it came to pass, when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the sons of Allah saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose.
All right, the sons of Allah there talking about the angels. These are the watchers, the fallen angels, who had children with the daughters of men, and they became giants and polluted the entire earth, leading to the destruction of the world by the flood. Verse 3.
And Yahuwah said, my Ruach shall not always strive with man, for that he also is flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years.
All right, so right away, mankind's lifespan has been drastically slashed. Because man used to live to 900 plus years old, 800 plus years old. No, man has been slashed to 120 years old. And I guess in order to accomplish that, man was given permission to eat meat. Now, I don't know if meat contributes to it. I wouldn't be surprised, but Genesis 9, 1-5. Read, please. This was after Noah and his sons came off the boat after the flood, and they were told to go and replenish the earth. Verse 1.
And Allah blessed and Allah baruch Noah and his sons and said unto them, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth. And the fear of you and the dread of you shall be upon every beast of the earth, and upon every fowl of the air, upon all that moveth upon the earth, and upon all the fishes of the sea. Into your hand are they delivered.
Verse 3.
Every moving thing that liveth shall be meat for you, even as the green herb have I given you all things.
All right. So this seems to suggest that every single thing you can eat. All right. But I don't believe this to be so, because for his people to be found righteous, they cannot be eating the meat that is not food. Every moving thing that liveth shall be meat for you, even as a green herb have I given you all things. So they were not allowed to eat meat. What verse 4 says?
But flesh with the life thereof, which is the blood thereof, shall ye not eat.
Now, this is very important as we talk about food. The blood, eating the blood. Very, very, very important not to eat the blood. This is reiterated over and over, even in the New Testament, not to eat the blood, to drain the blood from the flesh to ensure that we do not eat the blood. Verse 5.
And surely your blood of your lives will I require at the hand of every beast, will I require it, and at the hand of man, at the hand of every man's brother will I require the life of man.
So if we eat the blood, then we are guilty, and we will be required for the death or the life of that thing that we ate the blood. Verse 6.
Whoso sheddeth man's blood, by man shall his blood be shed. For in the image of Allah made he man.
All right, so this is just a little bystanding. So man now was allowed to eat flesh. But the Most High chose a special people in Noah's lineage from the descendants of Shem and Arpachshad down to Peleg, down to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. He chose a special people and told them what they could and could not eat. So let's go. Deuteronomy 14, 1-21. So he chose a special people and told them, these are the flesh that you can eat, and these are the flesh that you cannot eat. And then he starts out by telling us why. Verse 1.
Ye are the children of Yahuwah, your Allah. Ye shall not cut yourselves, nor make any baldness between your eyes for the dead.
Oh, verse 2.
For thou art an holy people unto Yahuwah, thy Allah. And Yahuwah hath chosen thee to be a peculiar people unto himself, above all the nations that are upon the earth.
All right, so the reason the Most High is going to give them these commands about food is because they are a set-apart people unto Yahuwah. Unique, special, specially chosen to be a peculiar or a unique people unto himself above all the nations that are upon the earth. So he chose this particular nation above everyone and say, you are set apart, and you will be set apart just as I am set apart. And verse 3, he told them,
thou shalt not eat any abominable thing.
So because they are set apart unto him, chosen above to be a unique people above everyone, every nation on the earth, to be unique unto Yahuwah, he told them, you shall not eat any abominable thing. So he is going to tell them now that which they can eat and that which is abominable. Verse 4.
These are the beasts which ye shall eat, the ox, the sheep, and the goat, the hart and the roebuck, and the fallow deer, and the wild goat, and the piggard, and the wild ox, and the chamois, and every beast that parteth the hoof, and cleaveth the cleft into two claws, and cheweth the cud among the beasts that he shall eat.
So he gave them the qualifier. They part the hoof and cleave the cleft into two claws and chew the cud. That means that they are pure to eat, because the Most High made them with a system of cleansing. He essentially made them with a system of cleansing that is indicated by the parting of the hoof and the chewing of the cud together. If any animal has one or the other and does not have both of them, then that animal is unclean. Verse 7.
Nevertheless, these ye shall not eat of them that chew the cud, or of them that divide the cloven hoof, as the camel, and the hare, and the coney, for they chew the cud, but divide not the hoof. Therefore, they are unclean unto you.
Verse 8.
And the swine, because it divided the hoof, yet cheweth not the cud, it is unclean unto you. Ye shall not eat of their flesh, nor touch their dead carcass.
So the swine here is singled out. And no strange thing that it is singled out, because the swine is the weapon that the wicked uses to mar everybody in this earth. The swine. It says, ye shall not eat of their flesh, nor touch their dead carcass. Not even the dead body we shall eat, we shall touch. Verse 9.
These ye shall eat of all that are in the waters. All that have fins and scale shall ye eat. And whatsoever hath not fins and scale, ye may not eat it. You may not eat. It is unclean unto you.
So, if they have fins and no scales, they should not be eaten. That includes shark and barracuda, several other fishes. There are fishes, of course, that have tiny scales. I think like mackerel. Don't have sardines. Tuna. They have tiny scales, but they do have scales. All right? Verse 11.
Of all clean birds ye shall eat, but these are they of which ye shall not eat: the eagle, and the ossifrage, and the osprey, and the glede, and the kite, and the vulture after its kind, and every raven after its kind, and the owl, and the night hawk, and the cuckoo, and the hawk after his kind.
Mm-hmm.
The little owl, and the great owl, and the swan, and the pelican, and the gyre eagle, and the cormorant, and the stork, and the heron after her kind, and the lapwing, and the bat, and every creeping thing that flieth is unclean unto you. They shall not be eaten.
All right. Continue.
But of all clean fowl ye may eat. Ye shall not eat of anything that dieth of itself. Thou shalt give it unto the stranger that is in thy gates, that he may eat it. Or thou mayest sell it unto an alien, for thou art an holy people unto Yahuwah thy Elohim. Thou shalt not see the kid in his mother's milk.
All right, so telling us all that we can and we cannot eat. And then he went on to say, anything that dies of itself, you must not eat it. And notice he said, you shall give it to the stranger that is in thy gates, thereby making a separation to Israel and the stranger that sojourns among Israel. Or sell it to an alien, somebody outside, because you are set apart unto Yahuwah thy Elohim. So the Most High went and gave us entire chapters. There's a chapter in Deuteronomy, Leviticus, and Exodus about, no, Leviticus, is there an Exodus? Leviticus and Deuteronomy about the food law, what we should and should not eat, which shows us that the Most High is very serious about food. Okay? Leviticus 7, 18, 22, 27. Read, please.
And if any of the flesh of the sacrifice of his peace offering be eaten at all on the third day, it shall not be accepted, neither shall it be imputed unto him that offereth it. It shall be an abominable, and the soul that eateth of it shall bear his iniquity.
It shall be an abomination. All right, so what we're showing here is food. And even if the food is held unto the third day and eaten, it is an abomination, and the Most High does not accept it. Another thing with food, verse 22 to 23.
And Yahuwah spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, Ye shall eat no manner of fat of ox, or of sheep, or of goat.
So in addition to not being able to eat certain foods, children of Israel cannot eat any fat, even from the foods that they qualify to eat. Cannot eat the fat. Deuteronomy 1, verse 1 to 14. Let me see if we've done this before. All right. No, this is wrong. Don't know where this one came from. Anyway. So, all right. So what do we have here in this world today? Let me go back. What do we have in this world today? The Most High set apart his people and gave them instructions to eat. What do we think the enemy is trying to do? Especially when you read Psalm 83. And the man says, let us destroy them from being a nation, that the name of Yasharal be no more in remembrance. What do we think they want to do? They spend their entire lives trying to pollute our food supply, trying to get us to eat against the way of our Father, to eat against the way that is commanded unto us. And so they pollute the water supply, the food supplies, and they blur the differences between food. They have what you call hybrid foods, where they combine different animals with each other. They do everything to mess up our supply so that we cannot keep those commandments of the Most High. And in furtherance of this, we have YouTube. We have YouTube now. There are certain videos that you cannot post on YouTube. Anything highlighting these ills or anything promoting going against their poisons, they will not allow on YouTube. But there's a website that I strongly recommend if you want truth. If you want truth, check BitChute, BITCHUTE.com. That is a website where you can find a whole lot of truth as to the wickedness and the evil that these people are doing today. There you will find people who have been banned from YouTube and who are still posting the same things that you cannot get on YouTube. Now, if you go to the search of bitchute.com, and I strongly recommend that you do this. And I did a search for magnetic food because it has been shown there are several experiments that are going around, and we did experiments for ourselves of different food items in which are appearing little magnetic, metallic structures that move with the magnetic field. All right, that is what is called GRAPHENE-OXIDE. Can't even call the name. And we will refer to it as GO or GO. All right, GRAPHENE-OXIDE. We'll refer to it as GO, or we will say GO in the future, because you cannot be speaking this name or else you will get in trouble. All right, so we tried it in a popular food brand milk product. We have the mix, you mix the powder, milk powder product. And Amikai tried it out, or Brother Abikai, and sure enough, it was there. We tried it in flour, and it was there. In cornmeal, and it was there. Tried it with bread, and it was there. We tried it with a brand of whole wheat flour, but it was not there. So when you check BitChute, you realize that there are many people who have been reporting this for some time. So if you see this major false flags coming, you can look at it and read it, please. I can't even speak it out loud. All right? Read those headlines, and you can go and search for yourself magnetic food. All right? Now, here are some highlights. Question again. All right. So we have people running experiments on the meat and seeing that the meat is also that MAGNETIC word. All right. All right. So we see meat here. Read this headline. This is chicken breast right here. All right, so you can go and you can read. And here is one, and I just decided to read the introduction to this one. And right here, so I don't know if I can read it out. You can read it. It says, the Luciferian Zionist Freemasons have placed in almost all of our food, drinks, marijuana, cosmetics, medicines, chemtrails, and that V word. All right? And saying it is a secret chemical. It says it strengthens the chip and is used in conjunction with the nanochips to kill people by way of heart or brain attack. When one has ingested enough of this substance, the chip lets the evil ones know that an individual is ready to be hit with 5G, microwave frequency, or magnetic amplification weapons. I'll read no more. You can go ahead and read that out. All right? And I was looking at this video. It's in Spanish. And read down at the bottom. What they are saying is that even the water supply, even rainwater, And they are saying that it's true. They say they have hundreds of videos of the different experiments that it is actually in many things that we here it is, hydrogels, makeup product. And also in the mass. All right. So you can go and check out this video. Here is the name, if you so wish. It is very detailed and give us greater information. So the point we're making is that mankind has decided he caused it all, small and great. He is turning to the food supply to cause all to take his mark. Now, the question for us is, what are we going to do? He is causing all. What are we going to do? Sit back and continue to be caused to take the mark. Are we going to be like Adam and take of it and did eat? Or are we going to be those who are willing to make sacrifices to go back to the original way we were supposed to eat? Because how do these people catch us? They catch us through the supermarkets and the pharmacies. That's where they catch us. Processed food. Anything that is processed and slapped with a brand. That is what they use to catch us. Anything that is processed. So they catch us with the processed foods. But we can avoid them and overcome them if we go back to the land. If we go back to making everything for ourselves, going back to the land and eating what the land produces, then that is how we can overcome them. Okay? So, eating unclean things whilst in captivity. We know that we are the children of Israel and we are in captivity. We are near the end of our captivity, or at the end of our captivity. And certain knowledge has been given to us, certain wisdom and understanding has been given to us concerning the people and their polluted food. So let's look at the history, a little history of food and pollution. Hosea 9, 3-9. Hosea 9, 3-9. Read, please.
They shall not dwell in Yahweh's land, but Ephraim shall return to Egypt, and they shall eat unclean thing in Assyria.
There we go. Ephraim sent into captivity. And their sentence was that they shall eat unclean things there. It is inevitable that in our captivity we will be eating unclean things. Verse 4.
They shall not offer wine offering to Yahuwah, neither shall they be pleasing unto him. Their sacrifices shall be unto them as the bread of mourners. All that eat thereof shall be polluted, for their bread, for their soul, shall not come into the house of Yahuwah.
There we go. Because the Most High banished them, he says, their offerings, their sacrifices will not be acceptable. They will eat unclean things. And all that eat of their sacrifices, all that eat shall be polluted. And so, in the time of the feast, the Most High says, what will they do? Verse 5.
What will ye do in the solemn day and in the day of the feast of Yahuwah?
Continue.
For lo, they are gone because of the destruction. Egypt shall gather them up. Memphis shall bury them. The pleasant places for their silver. Nettles shall possess them. Thorns shall be in their tabernacles.
All right. So if you cannot present that which is clean, what will you do in the feast? You are going to offer that which is polluted and so be destroyed. Verse 7.
The days of visitation are come. The days of recompense are come. Israel shall know it, and the prophet is a fool. The spiritual man is mad, for the multitude of thine iniquity and the great hatred.
So, because of what we did, we deserve our captivity, and so we will be allowed to eat food that is unclean. But when we are in captivity and we are coming out of captivity, we have to turn around. 2 Chronicles 6, 30, what that? 2 Chronicles 6, 36. All right. So while we are banished in captivity now, when we come out of our captivity and turn to the Most High, let's see, verse 36.
If they sin against thee, for there is no man which sinneth not, and thou be angry with them, and deliver them over for their enemies, and they carry them away captive unto a land far off or near. Yet if they bethink themselves in the land whither they are carried captive, and turn and pray unto thee in the land of their captivity, saying, we have sinned, we have done amiss, and have dealt wickedly.
All right. So here it is now. If they sin against you, if they eat polluted food, for example, just one of the things, if they transgress your laws, if they transgress your Sabbaths, whatever they do, if they repent, if they think and say, you know what, we have sinned, we have dealt wickedly, we are going to turn around. Verse 38.
If they return to thee with all their heart and with all their soul in the land of their captivity, whither they have carried them captives, and pray toward their land, which thou gavest unto their fathers, and toward the city which thou hast chosen, and toward the house which I have built for thy name.
39.
Then hear thou from heaven, even from thy dwelling place, their prayer and their supplications, and maintain their cause, and forgive thy people which have sinned against thee.
So his people are going to turn around, repent, remember their guilt, remember all that they have done. Yes, and that's what we do, for example, us with food. We were carried away in the religion of Christianity, deceived into eating pork, thinking that there's nothing wrong with pork. But when we come to the understanding of the Most High's food laws, that we cannot allow ourselves to be polluted with food, then we return and repent and start walking in the way of righteousness and start striving to avoid the stain of pork. All right? So it's very important to know that when you turn, you move away from the evil that you used to do. Because we have to understand what will happen in the end to those who eat abominations. What will happen in the end to those who eat abominations? Isaiah 65, verses 2 to 7. Very important to know what will happen to those who eat abominations. Will the Most High forgive us? Will he just turn a blind eye? Verse 2.
I have spread out my hand all the day unto a rebellious people, which walketh in a way that was not good after their own thoughts. A people that provoketh me to anger continually to my face, that sacrificeth in gardens and burneth incense upon an altar of bricks, which remain among the graves, and lodge in the monument, which eat swine's flesh, and broth of abominable things is in their vessels.
Read verse 4 again, please.
Which remain among the graves, and lodge in the monument, which eat swine's flesh, and broth of abominable things is in their vessels.
So hear this now. Isaiah 65. All right, Isaiah 65 is second to last chapter of Isaiah. It tells us what is going to happen in the end time. It says, which eat swine's flesh and broth of abominable things is in their vessels. And verse 5.
Which say, stand by thyself, come not near to me, for I am holier than thou. These are a smoke in my nose, a fire that burneth all the day.
So they eat swine's flesh and all sorts of abominable things. And then they say they are holy. Yeah? He says these are smoke in my mouth, a fire that burneth all day. So we are here thinking that we are okay with him. And to him, it's a fire that is burning all day with him, ready to take out his wrath upon us. Verse 6.
Behold, it is written before me, I will not keep silence, but will recompense, even recompense into their bosom.
You see that? Will recompense into their bosom. And not only their iniquities, the Most High is going to add the iniquities of our fathers. All right? Because we didn't do anything different from our fathers. Verse 7.
Your iniquities and the iniquities of your fathers together, say Yahuwah, which have burned incense upon the mountain and blasphemed me upon the hill. Therefore will I measure their former work into their bosom.
Into their bosom. For doing what? For eating swine's flesh and broth of abominable things is in their vessel. Yeshayahu 66, verse 12. Read, please.
For thus say Yahuwah, behold, I will extend peace to her like a river, and the splendor of the Gentile like a flowing stream. Then shall he suck, ye shall be borne upon her sides, and be dandled upon her knees. As one whom his mother comforted, so will I comfort you, and ye shall be comforted in Jerusalem. And when ye see this, your heart shall rejoice, and your bones shall flourish like an herb. And the hand of Yahuwah shall be known toward his servant, and his indignation toward his enemies.
All right. So notice this section says final judgment and splendor of Yahuwah. This is the end time. This is the last chapter of Isaiah. Read from verse 15, please.
For behold, Yahuwah will come with fire, and with his chariots like a whirlwind, to render his anger with fury, and his rebuke with flames of fire.
Continue.
For by fire and by his sword will Yahuwah plead with all flesh, and the slain of Yahuwah shall be many.
One thing we have to understand, people, we take it for granted thinking that this is a whole lot of people thing. It is only a few righteous. We have to strive for righteousness to be among the few. The slain of Yahuwah shall be many. Verse 17.
They that sanctify themselves and purify themselves in the garden behind one tree in the midst, eating swine's flesh and the abomination and the mouse shall be consumed together, say Yahuwah.
Shall be what?
Consumed together, say Yahuwah.
Shall be consumed together. If we are eating all sorts of abomination, if we know something to be an abomination and we continue to take part in it, and the abomination and the mouse shall be consumed together. The Most High does not play. Verse 18.
For I know their works and their thoughts. It shall come that I will gather all nations and tongues, and they shall come and see my splendor.
See? He knows their works and their thoughts. We are not hidden from him. Our thoughts are not hidden from him. All right. Now there's the other side of the coin now. Other side of the coin is when these people present their abomination and we refuse their abomination. And the record of that was given to us quite brilliantly in the book of Daniel, chapter 1. When we refuse the abomination, the Most High rewards us. Read, please.
In the 30th year of the reign of Joachim, king of Judah, came Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, unto Jerusalem and besieged it. And Yahuwah gave Joachim, king of Judah, and Yahuwah gave Joachim, king of Judah, into his hand, with part of the vessel of the house of Allur, which he carried into the land of Shinar, to the house of his God. And he brought the vessel into the treasury house of his God.
3.
And the king spake unto Ashpenaz, the master of his eunuchs, that he should bring certain of the children of Israel and of the king's seed and of the princes.
All right, so this is like, this is Babylon here, always wanting to get the best of the best in order to strengthen their country. You know, remember back in after the Second World War, the United States took the brilliant German scientists and set up their rocket program, as did the Soviet Union. In Canada, if you have certain qualifications, you can apply for permanent residence there. This is a thing of Babylon from way back when. They sought to get the best of the best from among the people who they conquer. Verse 4.
Children in whom was no blemish, but well favored and skillful in all wisdom, and cunning in knowledge and understanding, science, and such as had ability in them to stand in the king's palace, and whom they might teach the learning and the tongue of the Chaldeans.
All right, same principle in the United States. When they get people, they teach the American way. You have to go to the American schools for them to teach you their way. Similar principle that these people employ. Verse 5.
And the king appointed them a daily provision of the king's meat and of the wine which he drank, so nourishing them 3 years, that at the end thereof they might stand before the king.
All right. So he brought them up eating a daily provision of the king's meat, which would be meat that they provide for them and wine that they provided for them. Verse 6.
Now among these were of the children of Judah, Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah,
Continue.
unto whom the prince of the eunuchs gave names. For he gave unto Daniel the name of Belshazzar, and to Hananiah of Shadrach, and to Mishael of Meshach, and to Azariah of Abednego. But Daniel purposed in his heart that he would not defile himself with the portion of the king's
All right,
meat.
stop there. Daniel purposed in his heart. This is very important here. When we come upon the abominations of these people with their dirty foods, do we purpose in our hearts that we are not going to let them defile us? Or do we bow, just like Adam took from Eve and he did eat? This is a critical point right here. Do we purpose in our hearts as believers or as people who say are followers of the Messiah? Because if we are followers of the Messiah, then we will be self-sacrificial. As it says in the book of Revelation 12:11, that we will overcome them by the word of our testimony, and we love not our lives unto the death. We have to be willing to die rather than to be defiled by the king's food. This is a critical thing right here. What do we purpose in our hearts? Read verse 8, please.
But Daniel purposed in his heart that he would not defile himself with the portion of the king's meat, nor with the wine which he drank. Therefore, he requests of the prince of the eunuchs that he might not defile himself.
That he might not defile himself. So how did he avoid defiling himself? Let's see, verse 9.
Now Allah had brought Daniel into favor and tender love with the prince of the eunuchs. And the prince of the eunuchs said unto Daniel, I fear my master, the king, who hath appointed you meat and your drink. For why should he see your face worse liking than the children which of your sort? Then shall he make me endanger my head to the king.
So the eunuch is saying, if you don't eat this thing, you're going to look worse than everybody else. And the king, I'm going to get in trouble with the king. Then verse 11.
Then Daniel to Melzar. Then said Daniel to Melzar, whom the prince of the eunuchs had set over Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Abednego,
and Azariah.
And Azariah.
12.
Prove thy servant, I beseech thee, 10 days, and let them give us pulse to eat and water to drink.
Pulse to eat. That's vegetables. We get the exact meaning. Pulse, zeroa, something sown, only in the plural, that is a vegetable, as food. Pulse. So, in order to not get polluted by the king's meat, Daniel, I'm telling you, boy, in order to not be polluted by the king's meat, Daniel said, give me vegetable and water. No, we living today. We see ourselves now under the threat of these people. Mark of the beast is upon us, and the mark of the beast is threatening us. Because the ingredients in the mark of the beast, these people are giving us in food. And we can access vegetable and water. And guess what? Most of us have no intention of dropping the king's meat. Most of us are willing to defile ourselves, saying we are believers. We're not ready. We are not ready. Daniel was willing to eat vegetable and water in order to not be defiled. Most of us gone right back and cannot give up on the king's meat and the polluted food. Yes? The food that we ourselves can just get a strong magnet and a plastic cup, stir it up in there, let it settle, and then run the magnet on it, and you can see the things in there. You can see them standing up, moving up and down, assembling themselves, getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And that's what's going to happen inside of us. When a strong magnetic field comes, it's going to get bigger and bigger until it kills us. Yeah? Some of us are not willing to eat vegetable and drink water in order to avoid that. Anyway, let's see what happened. Verse 13.
Then let our countenance be looked upon before thee, and the countenance of the children that eat of the portion of the king's meat. And as thou seest, deal with thy servants.
Verse 14.
So he consented to them in this matter, and proved them 10 days.
10 days. Verse 15.
And at the end of 10 days, their countenance appeared fairer and fatter in flesh than all the children that which did eat the portion of the king's meat.
You see? It's just a matter of taste, you know. But the result is even better. Because when you're eating those vegetables, it is your medicine. It is cleansing you out, clearing out all of the garbage that is inside of you. All right? Verse 16.
Thus Belshazzar took away the portion of their meat and the wine that they should drink, and gave them pulse.
And gave them vegetables. Verse 17.
As for these 4 children, Allah gave them knowledge and skill in all learning and wisdom. And Daniel had understanding in all vision and dreams.
You see that? For the sacrifice that they made, the Most High rewarded them by giving them knowledge and skill in all learning and wisdom. And Daniel himself was given extra. He was given understanding in all visions and dreams. Just because they chose vegetable over the king's meat. Verse 18.
Now at the end of the day that the king had said, he should bring them in. Then the prince of the eunuchs brought them in before Nebuchadnezzar.
Continue.
And the king communed with them, and among them all has found none like Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. Therefore stood they before the king.
They stood out. Verse 19.
And in all matters of wisdom and understanding that the king inquired of them, he found them 10 times better than all the magicians and astrologers that were in all his realm.
All right, in all matters of wisdom and understanding that the king inquired, he found them 10 times better. So why were they 10 times better, Brother Mahal?
Because they didn't eat the king's meat.
And they were rewarded by the Most High for their sacrifice.
So you see what is also very important here. We are not supposed to eat the king's meat. So very important for us to also know what is the king's meat. So the scripture outlined to us what is abominable and what is not. So our task here is to make sure that we don't eat that which is abominable. Very important.
Yeah, and the king's meat here, the king refers to the ruler. And we know that we are in the new world order, one world order. And the king's meat is whatever is coming from those people up at the top. The food that is coming from them through their international distribution system. All right? King's meat includes imported beef, imported chicken, all of those things that you don't get from the traditional natural means. All right, because in the magnetic food section, you can see magnetic chicken. And there's a video there that shows us what they do to the meat. They have some spikes. They run the meat on some conveyor belt type of thing, and then they have the spikes that go in there. People are wicked, you know. They just have the spikes that go in them, boom, and they're injecting the things with the poison, the food with the poison. All right? So everything that you get from the international market would be the king's meat. The meat, the food that we are to eat are the food that you can get from your local person that you know is not polluted from those outside. So for example, you're gonna eat beef. You go to you see the cows in the country, and the butcher get the cows and they slaughter them, natural cows. But you see the one that comes from abroad, king's meat, problem.
Yes, it's very important to know where our food is coming from, because, for example, let's say here in Jamaica, we have foreign goats.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, we are very big on raising goats. So it was kind of shocking to see that Jamaica is really importing some things that we should really be exporting. So it is definitely a concern for us to know where our food is coming from. That is why we need to farm for ourselves, and to ensure that whatever it is that we are eating, we know that, you know what, these things were not engineered, these things were not injected, these things were not modified. So, you know, it is just it is just so wicked to what this world system is doing to us today. But, you know, again, we have to stick to the ways of Yahuwah, because, like he said, man, even for his elect, if it is short his days, his elect will also being captured. So for us today, let us stick to that which the Most High deemed for us as clean, and not going off to what the kings might say to us, hey, this is clean. Let's go back to what the Most High is saying to us today.
Stay away from the supermarkets and the pharmacies. Yeah? Because I watched a video, the same video I recommend, they're from BitChute, and it showed you them doing experiments on some very popular pharmaceutical items. I'm like, what? Multivitamins, all sort of things. When you look at it, magnetic. Yeah?
Well, when it comes to things like those medication stuff, I mean, it's been for a very long time. Something just didn't add up when it comes to those medication, and I always hit out against it, because since the Most High already put on the earth that which we need for medication, why should we believe in that which man make and say to us, eat it, this is good for you, I mean take it, this will get you better. The Most High made our plant, you know, give us the herbs to eat. So from way before, I was kind of about the medication.
All right. So, verse 21.
And Daniel continued even unto the first year of King Cyrus.
All right. So Daniel was the Most High Baruch Daniel so much that he continued throughout Nebuchadnezzar's son, even until when King Cyrus took over and deposed the king of Babylon and took over the empire. Daniel was still there reigning. All right? All right. So we need to understand as well and go back to the experiences of people who were faced with tainted food, were faced with not even tainted food, were faced with the threat of eating swine's flesh. Yeah, we looked at these a couple of times, but it's very opportune time for us to look at them again. First Maccabees 1:41. What did these people do when they were threatened? When their lives even were threatened with eating swine, with eating pig. Verse 41.
Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people, and everyone should leave his law. So all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king.
All right, so King Antiochus was the Greek king who was ruling over Yehuda or Judah at the time, a few hundred years before the Messiah came. And he wanted everyone to be one kingdom, which is what these people always want to do. What are they having now? The New World Order. It's the same thing. They always want there to be one order, one kingdom. So all the heathen agreed. The heathen that are in scattered throughout their different nations agreed. And verse 43 says,
Yea, many also of the Israelites consented to his religion and sacrificed unto idols and profaned the Sabbath.
So their religion entails sacrificing unto idols, eating all sorts of garbage, especially swine, and profaning the Shabbat. Verse 44.
For the king had sent letters by messengers unto Jerusalem and the cities of Judah, that they should follow the strange laws of the land, and forbid burnt offering and sacrifice and drink offering in the temple, and that they should profane the Sabbath and festival days, and pollute the sanctuary and the holy people, set up altars and groves and chapel of idols, and sacrifice swine's flesh and unclean beasts.
Sacrifice swine's flesh and unclean beasts. And when they sacrifice it, they want them to eat it. Verse 48.
That they should also leave their children uncircumcised, and make their soul abominable with all manner of uncleanness and profanation.
All right? Make themselves abominable with all manner of uncleanness. 49.
To the end they might forget the law and change all the ordinances. All the ordinances. And whosoever would not do according to the commandment of the king, he should die.
So, we today, compare us today, we are being given something that is going to destroy us anyway. And many of us are not willing to give up on the food. And we are under no threat of death. But these people were under the threat of death. It is either you eat it or you die. Let's see, verse 51.
In the selfsame manner rode he to his whole kingdom, and appointed overseer over all the people, commanding the cities of Judah to sacrifice, city by city.
Continue.
Then many of the people were gathered unto them, to wit everyone that forsook the law, and so they committed evil in the land.
So everyone who forsook the law were gathered unto them, agreed to them. Yeah? And then they committed evil in the land. Verse 53.
And drove the Israelites into secret places, even wheresoever they could flee for succor.
So those Israelites who wanted to avoid them and their abominations fled into secret places. They were willing to flee from them rather than to bow to them. 54.
Now the 15th day of the month Caslu, in the 145th year, they set up the abomination of desolation upon the altar, and builded idol altar throughout the cities of Judah on every side.
Continue.
Sorry. And burn incense in the door of their houses and in the streets. And when they had rent in pieces the books of the law, which they found, they burnt them with fire. And whosoever was found with any the book of the testament, or if any committed to the law, the king's commandment was that they should put him to death. Thus did they by the authority unto the Israelites every month, to as many as were found in the cities. Now the 25th day of the month, they did sacrifice upon the idol altar, which was upon the altar of Allur. At which time, according to the commandment, they put to death certain women that had caused their children to be circumcised. And they hanged the infants about their necks and rifled their houses and slew them that had circumcised them.
Verse 62.
Howbeit many in Israel were fully resolved and confirmed in themselves not to eat any unclean thing.
Not to eat any unclean thing. And let's see what's going to happen.
Wherefore, they rather to die, that they might not be defiled with meats, and that they might not profane the holy covenant. So then they died.
All right. Now, these people come with these abominations that are obviously going to defile us. They have their geo inside there. Obvious. Anyone can run the experiment and see it. It's not like far away from you. It's something that you can do for yourself. And you see the profanation. And we still run, go, and eat these things. What did these people do? They were fully resolved and confronting themselves not to eat any unclean thing. How can we say we are believers and we are resolved and comfortable eating unclean things? How? It says, wherefore the rather to die, rather than be defiled with meats, that they might not profane the set apart covenant. So then they died. These people are resolved. Remember we talked at the beginning about the resurrection of the dead. It is raised in corruption and will be raised in incorruption. These people know that they will be raised incorruptible because they gave up their lives for righteousness' sake in order to not be defiled by the king's meat. This was how these people are resolved. This is how we should be at this time, at the mark of the beast, when we are told the penalty if we are defiled by the mark of the beast. Do we rather die rather than be defiled with their food? Will we rather die than be defiled with their food? If we are not at that point, but then again, people, this is why fasting is important. This is why regular fasting is important. When you are fasting regularly, you will have control over your appetite. You will have control over your urges. You will have control over what you eat. But if you are going weeks upon weeks and months upon months and no fasting, how do you think you can have control? How can we have control if we are not fasting? Because our flesh is going to be ruling us. And whenever our flesh urges and say, eat, 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 you're not going to have a control. You cannot say no. Because it has become a routine, a non-stop routine, an uninterrupted routine of just feeding your flesh what it wants, feeding it what it wants. Now is the time for true believers to go into fastings. Now is the time for true believers to leave the king's meat, to rather to eat the pulse, to rather to eat the vegetable and the water, rather than to be polluted, to rather to die, rather to have nothing to eat, because many people are looking, what am I going to eat? I have nothing to eat. These people are rather to die than to eat swine's flesh. Because all it takes for us is just a change in diet. It's just a different plan. It's just to just come and start thinking and say, okay, I cannot eat that, so how am I going to replace it? All right. If I don't get that, then I can replace it with this, and with that. It's simple. But no. Our God is our belly. Many of us. Our God is our belly, and we don't know it. Because wherever the belly rules, that's where we go. We are helpless. Helpless against the belly. And this is very, very serious. Don't say this to bring down anyone, but to encourage us all. This is war. And if we bow to the enemy, we are losing the war. Another case again, swine's flesh. 2 Maccabees 6, 16 to 31. So bowing to the wicked, bowing to the enemy and not knowing how critical it is before the Most High. Because most of us take the Most High for granted, thinking, oh, we are believers and so and so. We have no idea who Yahuwah is. We know who God is, but we don't have any idea who Yahuwah is. These people here, they know who Yahuwah is. That is why they prefer to die rather than to be polluted. Verse 16.
And therefore, he never withdraw his mercy from us. And though he punished with adversity, yet doth he never forsake his people.
All right. So here's a nice verse now. When people see this now, you can say, okay, well, if I eat the polluted food, that means, okay, he's never withdraw his mercy from us. And yeah, he never forsake me. So I can go and eat this thing presumptuously. That's not what he's talking about. He's talking about those who are walking in righteousness. Because, continue with 17.
But let this that we had spoken before a warning unto us. And now will we come to the declaring of the matter in a few words. Eleazar, one of the principal scribes, an aged man, and of a well-favored countenance, was constrained to open his mouth and to eat swine's flesh.
All right. So this aged man, old man Eleazar, he was encouraged to open his mouth and to eat swine's flesh. Open your mouth, eat the swine's flesh, you live. If you don't eat it, they're going to torture you to death. Verse 19.
But he, choosing rather to die gloriously than to live stained with such a abomination, spitted forth and came of his own accord to the torment.
Rather to die splendidly than to live stained with such an abomination. They forced it in his mouth and he spit it out. Rather to come to torment, rather than to be soiled with this abomination. Verse 20.
As he behoved them to come, that are resolute to stand out against such things as are not lawful for love of life to be tasted.
Right? As it behoved them to come, that are resolute to stand out against such things, which are not to be tasted by the set apart people. Verse 21.
But they that had the charge of the wicked feast, for the old acquaintance they had with the man, taking him aside, besought him to bring flesh of his own provision, such as was lawful for him to use, and make as if he did eat of the flesh taken from the sacrifice commanded by the king.
All right, so hear this now. Some people that knew him said to him, took him aside and said, you can bring your own flesh, your own clean flesh, and pretend to eat it as swine. So you'll be eating clean meat. So that's still boring. Yeah, you're eating clean meat, but everybody's going to feel that you're eating swine. But you're not going to be defiled because you're going to trick the king. Verse 22.
That in so doing, he might be delivered from death, and for the old friendship with them find favor.
23.
But he began to consider this discreetly, and has become his age, and the excellency of his ancient years, and the honor of his gray head, whereon was come, and his most honest education from a child, or rather the holy law made and given by Allah. Therefore he answered accordingly, and will them straightway to send him to the grave.
When he considered all his upbringing with the Torah and everything, and who he's representing, and how he's gonna dishonor his age. He has lived all of his excellent years as an honorable man. And now, to come and stay. And he said, no, man, send me to the grave.
I mean, a matter of fact, with the gray hair, you tell, I live all these years already. So you know what happened? I don't even care anymore. Because what he's saying is going to live so long. And to know that which is being given to you is abominable, and you're going to eat it. So you're going to die anyway. So it is always best to die in righteousness.
Fast forward to today with people taking this portion. The old people.
Exactly. They don't want to die.
Old people.
So therefore, they're going to take the prize regardless. So you're going to still equal to death.
You have people in their 80s, 90s. If a woman over 100 took this thing.
No one want to die.
Verse 24.
24. For it becometh not our age, said he, in any wise do dissemble, whereby many young persons might think that Eleazar, being fourscore years old and 10, we're now gone to a strange religion. And so they through mine hypocrisy and desire to live a little time, a moment longer, should be deceived by me. And I get a stain to mine old age and make it abominable.
So people are gonna see him and say, well, if Eliezer ate it, then I can also eat it as well. Yeah? Continue.
For though for the present time I should be delivered from the punishment of men, yet should I not escape the hand of the Almighty, neither alive nor dead.
No, this is very important. If we bow to please people, yeah, and by our bowing, we allow other people to be stained, the Most High gonna get us. So Eliezer knew that even if he did it, right, the fact that he's going to bring other people with him, he is going to have to face the wrath of the Most High. So better face the wrath of man than face the wrath of the Almighty. Verse 27.
Wherefore now, man fully changed this life, I will shew myself such as one as mine age requires, and leave a notable example to such as be young to die willingly and courageously for the honorable and holy laws. And when he had said these words, immediately he went to the torment.
Continue.
They that led him changing the good will, they bear him a little before into hatred, because he foresaid, speeches proceeded, as they thought from a desperate mind.
30.
But when he was ready to die with stripes, he groaned and said, it is manifest unto Yahuwah that had the holy knowledge, that whereas I might have been delivered from death, I now endure sore pain in body by being beaten, but in soul I'm well content to suffer these things because I fear him.
Because I fear him. Verse 31.
And thus this man died, leaving his death for an example of a noble courage and a memorial of virtue, not only unto young men, but unto all his nation.
So he died as an example to his nation. Another example of people who were faced with eating swine's flesh. Another one, 2 Maccabees 7. 1-8. Read, please.
It came to pass also that 7 brethren with their mother were taken and compelled by the king against the law to taste swine's flesh, and were tormented with scourge and whips.
All right. So they were not only tempted, they were not only compelled to taste swine's flesh, they were also whipped and scourged. So these people could say, you know, compared to us today, these people could say, you know what? They are whipping me and scourging me. The Most High will understand if I taste the swine's flesh. Is this what these people did? I don't think so. We today have no whip or no scourge behind us. And with the knowledge that we are eating food that is polluted, we just pause. And what we do, we continue to go after the food that is polluted. Nobody's scourging us, nobody's whipping us, and we do not have the strength to refuse the polluted food. So let's see, let's compare with these people. Verse 2.
But one of them that spake first said thus, What wouldest thou ask for? What wouldest thou ask or learn of us? We are ready to die rather than to transgress the law of our fathers.
Repeat this, please. We are
ready to die rather than to transgress the laws of our fathers.
So right now we are in the mark of the beast and they are causing all. And we have been given understanding of the mark of the beast, which most of the world has not. And we have been taught the understanding of the mark of the beast, and we have received it, we have seen it. And when we see that the same ingredient that is in that thing is now being given to us in common foods, what do? We turn back and we go eat the common foods. People, we're not ready. We are not ready. We are not ready. If we are not ready to die, we are not ready. And we have been talking about denying self for ages upon umpteen upon ages, denying self for years. We're not ready. If we are not ready at the drop of a hat to die, bam, right now, anytime, we are not ready. If we are not ready to die, rather than to transgress the laws of our fathers, we're not ready. Verse 3.
Verse 3. Then the king, being in a rage, commanded pans and cauldron to be made hot. Ready? Which forthwith being heated, he commanded to cut out the tongue of him that spake first, and to cut off the utmost part of his body, the rest of his brethren and his mother looking on.
All right. So here's what this one face now. Cut off his tongue and cut off the different parts of his body in front of his mother and his brothers. Now we are bowing without any threat. The only threat is that we're not going to get this meal that we have before us, or that is tempting us, or this meal that our heart lusts after. That's the only threat. And we're bowing. But this man now was going to lose his tongue and his members of his body parts. And let's see what he will do if he's going to bow like most of us. Verse 5.
Now when he was thus maimed in all his members, he commanded him, being yet alive, to be brought to the fire and to be fried in the pan. And as the vapor of the pan was for a good space dispersed, they exhorted one another with the mother to die manfully, saying thus, Yahuwah Allure looketh upon us, and in truth had comfort in us, as Moses in his song, which witness to their faces declared, saying, and he shall be comforted in his servants.
Continue.
So when the first was dead after this number, they brought the second to make him a mocking stock. And when they had pulled off the skin of his head with the hair, they asked him, Wilt thou eat before thou be punished? throughout every member of thy body.
So they pull off his skin. I say, all right, will you eat now? Let's see if this one is going to bow. Verse 8.
But he answered in his own language and said, No, wherefore he also received the next torment in order, as the former did.
So you can go on and read the rest of the whole 7 of them plus the mother. All right? These people, look what they faced. And these people were adamant that they're not bowing. We are not faced with any threat and we are bowing. Are we talking about kingdom? How can we be talking about kingdom and we're bowing without any duress? Well, I guess maybe we believe the Christian teaching about being sanctified by the word of Allah and prayer. This is one another of those wicked misunderstandings that is going to bring a whole lot of people to destruction. 1 Timothy 4, verse 3. Wicked Christian teaching. Those of us who are in the way must be over these silly teachings by this. Verse 3, read please.
Forbidding to marry and commanding to abstain from meat, which Allah had created to be received with thanksgiving of them which believe and know the truth.
Continue.
For every creature of Allah is good, and nothing to be refused if it be received with thanksgiving. For it is sanctified by the word of Allah and prayer.
All right, so people summarize this and say, okay, everything that you eat is good. Every creature, everything that you eat is good, as long as you, as they say, bless it and pray over it. Now let's go back and look at it. Forbidding to marry and commanding to abstain from meats or food, which Allah had created to be received with thanksgiving of them which believe and know the truth. Now, what is the truth? The law is the truth. All right? The law is the truth. So, which Allah had created to be received with thanksgiving. Where do we find the food which Allah had created to be received with thanksgiving? Leviticus 23, Deuteronomy 14, they tell you which meats, which flesh the Most High created to be received with thanksgiving. The swine was not created to be received with thanksgiving. So this cannot mean the swine. Impossible. Because they are going to be known by those who know what? Believe and know the truth. And we haven't done this for a long time. Let's go back and show what the truth is. Psalms 119, 142. Thy righteousness is an everlasting righteousness, and thy law is the truth. So those who know the law are going to know, to find out what foods were created to be received with thanksgiving are given to us in Leviticus 23, for example. We go to Leviticus 23, and it tells you, no, Leviticus 11, sorry. Always mixing up those two. Go to Leviticus 11, and it will tell you, speak unto the children of Yasharal, saying, these are the beasts which ye shall eat among all the beasts that are on the earth. So this is the truth. So those who know this will know what they should eat and what they should not eat. So let's go back to this. Forbidding to marry and commanding to abstain from meats or foods which Allah had created to be received with thanksgiving of them which believe and know the truth. These are those that are legal foods given in the law of the Most High. For every creature of Allah is good and nothing to be refused if it be received with thanksgiving. So people believe that, saying that, oh, every creature of Allah is good.
Okay, so these people here, let's say they want to eat pork, for example, like I used to be.
Mhm.
So because they want to eat the pork, they would use this line
Mhm.
to say, if they get some pork and pray for it, the pork become clean. Which we all know that's not what the scripture is saying to us here.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So every creature of Alua is good, but also any other food that is unclean, any other thing that is unclean.
Whatever else is unclean, we cannot bring it back clean. The Most High is so awesome in all his doings. He knows everything that is going to happen today, right? He knows the food that will be around, and therefore he separates the food that, hey, don't eat this food. Just like Adam and Eve. Hey, this tree right here, don't eat of it. Don't touch it. And what happened? They went and touched that. So we see coming down now, because we don't want to see the same thing happening with Adam and Eve. We're going to stick to what the Most High is saying to us. What is the truth? The law is the truth. Don't eat the pork. Don't eat pork. Don't eat crayfish. Don't eat crayfish. Don't eat all those things that is abominable. We cannot go and say, well, still tastes good. If I pray because it's the Most High make it, well, I can eat it, and because I'm special, I can pray for it, and He will make it clean. No, it doesn't work like that.
Now let's see. Verse 5 tell us exactly. Read from verse 4 into 5.
For every creature of Alua is good, and nothing to be refused, if it be received with thanksgiving. For it is sanctified by the word of Alua and prayer.
All right? There's a colon here, which means this explains this. Every creature is good, for it is sanctified by the word of Alua. That means the word of Alua, Leviticus 11, tells us which creature can be eaten.
Exactly.
It is the word of Alua that sanctifies it. It is not our desire that sanctifies it. And prayer. So this is where the prayer comes in. When you know it is okay now for you to eat it, and you pray and eat it. The grave error. And which brings us to Job 14:4. You cannot pray over something that is wrong to make it right, to satisfy our lust and our desire. Impossible. Because, verse 4, please read.
Who can bring a clean thing out of an unclean? Not one.
Yeah. No, that's it. Who can bring a clean thing out of an unclean? Not one. How can you have swine before you? And you pray over it. And all of a sudden, the swine becomes clean. Yeah? How can you have something with G oxide inside of it right before you, and you pray out of it and make it clean? You can't. Because the Most High knows your heart. He knows our hearts and knows that it is because of I am being overcome by the lust of my heart for the desire of that particular thing, which is why through weakness I am coming before Him to pray and to make that which is unclean to be clean. Job 14:4. Who can bring a clean thing out of an unclean? No, not one. Leviticus 11:46-47. People, this is war. We are sleeping. Trust me. We are asleep. We are sleeping. So when the Most High gave us His law of the flesh, this is what He said, verse 46-47.
This is the law of the beast and of the fowl and every living creature that moveth in the waters, and of every creature that creepeth upon the earth.
All right, so verse 47 is going to tell you why He gave us the law. Read it, please.
To make a difference between the unclean and the clean.
To make a
difference between the unclean and the clean.
To make a difference. The Most High makes a difference between the clean and the unclean. We cannot come to Him ingesting unclean thing and then pray over it. He gave us the rules to make a difference between the clean and the unclean. Continue.
And between the beasts that may be eaten and the beasts that may not be eaten.
The Most High always makes this difference, Ezekiel 44:23. Read, please.
23.
Yeah.
And they shall teach my people the difference between the holy and profane, and cause them to discern between the unclean and the clean.
All right. This is the priest, the end time priest. People, you cannot say you're a set apart servant of the Most High, and you are not teaching people the difference between the set apart and the profane. And you are not causing them to discern between the clean and the unclean. This is our task. We have failed if we instruct people to partake of the unclean. We are failed if we fail to teach the people the difference between the set apart and the profane. If this thing that is we are trying to teach smartly, because everything that we are teaching is smartly, we can't come out and say what we actually want to say. So smartly use your wisdom. If this what we are smartly trying to teach people has been revealed to us, and we keep it to ourselves, and allow people to continue to be polluted by the profane, and not causing them to discern between the clean and the unclean, then we would have failed. And when we go before the Most High thinking that we are good, no problem. Depart from me, I knew you, you worker of iniquity. That's what's probably waiting for us there. People, we need to repent. We need to repent. This is war. Isaiah 52, 9 to 12. Nine to 12. Read, please.
Break forth into joy, sing together, you waste places of Jerusalem. For Yahuwah hath comforted his people, he hath redeemed Jerusalem.
All right, so this is a time of our redemption. A time of our redemption, you know, these people who are redeemed, they will not touch anything that is unclean. Verse 10.
Yahuwah hath made bare his holy arm in the eyes of all the nations, and all the ends of the earth shall see the salvation of our Yahuwah.
Continue.
Depart ye, go ye out from thence. Touch no unclean thing. Go ye out of the midst of her. Be ye clean, that bear the vessel of Yahuwah.
Oh, you see that? Depart, go ye out from thence. We know this polluting thing and this thing that these pollutions. It says depart, left, move, go away, as we say in Jamaica. Come out of them. Touch nothing that is unclean. Come out of the middle of her. Be clean. Now, the only way you can bear the vessels of Yahuwah is if you are clean. Verse 12.
For he shall not go out with haste, nor go by flight. For Yahuwah will go before you, and the Yahuwah of Israel will be your reward.
Reward. Hear this. You shall not go out with haste. You see, as long as you are clean, and you depart from out of the uncleanness, and you touch no unclean thing, you don't have to go out with haste or hurry. Yahuwah will go before you, will lead you because you are clean. And he will not only lead you, he will also be behind you, your rear reward. He will take up your rear, protect you from behind and before, just as the children of Israel were leaving Egypt when their enemies came. The pillar of fire went between their enemies behind, and the pillar of fire led them in the night. Yeah? It's the same thing. So, just a side note again, as we're talking about food and pollution, this is a very serious. We had looked at this before. In a previous teaching. I want to read a little bit about it before we close. All right? Pig, swine, in almost everything that we eat and use on a regular basis. 185 different things that they use pigs in. Wait, oh, this camera not moving. Let me get it. Oh. All right. Okay. Pig in everything. You can't see it, brother Mahar? Yeah. All right. It's entitled Bullets, Bread and Beer, Tambourines and Toothpaste, and the 180 other things you can do with a pig. You can read that? Let me see. You can't go anymore. When we talk into a bacon sandwich, you can see that?
When we talk into a bacon sandwich, few of us wonder what has happened to the other part of the pig, whose life has been sacrificed so we can enjoy the juicy breakfast.
All right, let me read it. But one inquisitive writer set out to trace where all the body parts of one porker ended up. Christian Mendelksma, 29, said, like most people, I had little idea of what happened to a pig after it leaves the abattoir, so I decided to try to find out. I approached a pig farmer who agreed. Let me follow one of his animals. Identified by the yellow ear tag number, her pig trail ended with her identifying an incredible 185 different uses to which it was put, from the manufacture of sweets and shampoo to bread, body lotion, beer, and bullets. Christensen said, I was shocked when I began to find out just how unusual and varied the different uses for an ordinary pig were. It's almost as if these days a pig is no longer thought of an animal, but more like an industrial raw material with a mind-blowing amount of different uses. She found that 4.9 pounds of her 16-stone 3-pound pig went to make wine gums, while 4.8 pounds went into licorice. In this process, collagen is taken from the pig and is then converted into gelatin. This finds its way into numerous foodstuffs where it acts as a gelling agent. Although not all sweets in the UK contain pork gelatin, many do, including Mark and Spencer's usually popular and aptly named Percy Pig sweets. It is not only sweets that contain pork gelatin. In some beers, wines, and fruit juices, pig gelatin is used to remove the cloudiness from the drink. It works as a clarifying agent by reacting with the tannins in the liquid and absorbing the cloudiness. Some ice creams, whipped creams, yogurts, and certain butters also contain gelatin, as do certain pet foods. More surprisingly, a number of medicines also contain pig gelatin, everything from painkillers to multivitamins. Now, these are the same products that they are putting in their graphene oxide, their GO, into. Hygiene and beauty products are also made of pig. Fatty acids extracted from the bone fat of pigs are used in shampoos and conditioners to give them their shiny, pearl-like appearance. These acids can also be found in a number of body lotions, foundations, and anti-wrinkle creams. Glycerin, made from pork fat, is also an ingredient in many types of toothpaste. Christine from Holland found that while some companies are reluctant to cooperate with their requests, all right, even cigarettes, the thing that they use to inhale. All right, let me just go to the thing here. All right. 1, chemical weapons testing. 2, ice cream. 3, fertilizer. Low-fat butter. Beer. Fabric softener. Paintbrush. Fruit juice. Shampoo. Yep. The bristles. The bristles from the here, yeah. Candle, bread, bullet, medicine tablets, that's a gelatin, washing powder, paint, tambourine, wine, paper, heparin. It's used to stop blood clots. So when you go to the doctor, these people are pumping porks in our bodies and we don't know. Soap, corks, and here's one for those diabetics. Insulin, taken from the pancreas, as closest to human in chemical structure. This is one that I believe not many people don't know. That's gonna deceive a lot of people. Because when you're diabetic and you need insulin and you're a believer, you're being shut up with pork. Yogurt, cigarette, photographic film, dog food treat, photodynamic therapy, moisturizers, dog snack, crayons, shoes, even train brakes, toothpaste, hide glue, face mask used to help reduce wrinkles, alternate energy, energy bar. This is why I stay away from the energy bars. Cream cheese, whipped cream, sweets. So, huh? So this is, you see how these people have polluted us. These people have polluted all of us. All of us need to repent. Something in there for somebody, for one of us. Yeah? And this is just pork. Huh?
So they make you not one thing go to waste.
Yeah, but remember, there are other abominable animals, This is just one animal, There are other abominable animals that we must not eat, and they are extracting things from these animals and giving to us as well. So we see how easy it is to be soiled in this world, how hard it is. So when we receive knowledge, the reason we receive knowledge is for a purpose. We get the understanding for a purpose.
So while it is very serious to see all these things, very scary too. So what we might need to do also to go through to see which other animal is deemed to see what they use them to make. So you see, we are almost already dead. I mean, like every single thing, like everything. So it is danger zone.
Yeah. So it kind of shows me, what it shows me is the importance of going back to just natural food and not eating any of their processed food. Why? If we eat natural, then most of the things that are stated here, we don't need them. Look at it. If we decide that we're going natural, what are we going to need here? We have things that can replace everything. Because even for those of us now who are thinking about, we need to live off the soil. We have to start thinking about fabric softener that is natural. We have to start thinking about natural fruit juice. We have to start thinking about what we can use to wash our hair. Wasn't that what we were thinking about? What we can use to wash our hair that is natural. So if we go to that natural way, 100%, then most of these things we'd have gotten rid of. And we were talking about soap. We're also thinking about what natural things we can use instead of soap. So, it's just a natural way of life. We were thinking about toothpaste, what we can eat, drink, use for natural toothpaste. Everything is just a natural way we can overcome these people. That's just it. Simple. All right? So, judgment. Let me tell you something. 1 Corinthians 4, First, Philippians 4. We are almost at the end right now. Philippians 4. No, First Peter 4. I mean, verse 17. Read, please.
For the time is come that judgment must begin at the house of Allah. And if it first began at us, what shall the end of them that obey not the gospel of Allah?
All right, so this is something that we often forget. Judgment begins with us. Not because we say we are believers, we are automatically in the kingdom. Judgment begins with us. And verse 18 says,
and if the righteous scarcely be saved.
Stop there. The righteous are scarcely. I was speaking with my sister yesterday and she was reminding me of something that I told her. That when we come to the Most High and we are walking with him for a while, we tend to take it for granted as if we are all special and we are all in the kingdom already and that we can do certain things and he just ignores it. And it's okay because we read some verses like in the book of Psalms and it seems to be saying that he will overlook certain things and all of that. All right? Judgment begins with us and the righteous are scarcely saved. Narrow is the gate that leads to life and few there be that find it. I do not even think of myself as being nowhere near the kingdom. So when I speak that which is laid on my heart by the Most High, that which I know is right in his sight. I am not going to be one of those who people are going to have to really actually love having around them. I know that because I'm going to be speaking the truth at all times. And whenever we find ourselves in a comfort zone, I am going to be the one who is going to make you feel very uncomfortable with the truth. But I myself have to work out my own salvation with fear and trembling. But at the same time, I have to tell you what it is. The righteous scarcely are saved. So we should never, ever rest on our laurels and never, ever rest in our comfort zone. Read 18 again, please.
And if the righteous scarcely be saved, where shall the unholy and the sinners appear?
What verse 19 says?
Wherefore, let them that suffer according to the will of Allah commit the keeping of their soul to him in well-doing as unto a faithful creator.
All right. Let them that suffer according to the will of Allah. What does it mean to suffer according to the will of Yahuwah? Psalms 40 verse 18 tells us what the will of Allah is. Verse 8. This precept that we got from Brother Michael. The time I see it, I remember him. Verse 8.
I delight to do thy will, O my Allah. Yea, thy law is written in my heart.
Is within my heart. All right? So, his will is his law within my heart. So, when you go back to here, those who suffer for the will of Allah, which is the law written in our heart, we first have to suffer for the law written in our heart, with the law written in our heart, in order for us to overcome. So going through this food persecution, we are going to have to suffer for food. It means we're going to be taken out of our comfort zone. It means we're not going to be able to eat the way that we loved. It means that we now have to acquire a different taste. Simple. It means that we go to the grass. It means we go to the vegetables and the fruits and leave the processed foods alone. And that is not suffering. Because let me tell you something. Let me give you my personal testimony about this thingy here. You see? When I found out about this thing, and I never used to eat flour products, and then because I came among people who ate flour, I started eating flour again. I found myself getting very sick, stiff, very stiff, and my bones aching. When I got up, I had to pause for a while before I could move. I used to walk off stiffly and never ever realized that this was what this food was doing me. Certain things I never used to eat. And then I started eating them. And then all of a sudden this thing come, we decided to and started changing the diet. And within a few days, trust me on that, started eating more grass, more vegetables. Got rid of the chicken and the flour. And trust me, my body has reverted back to maybe about 15, 20 years. I can now bend over. When I get up, I don't have to stop. I used to have a whole lot of scratch itching on me. I realized and studied and researched it. It was inflammation. Now all of a sudden my skin has stopped itching. Everything happened, everything changed. And it was a tough transition because the food didn't taste as nice as before and wasn't as encouraging as before. Sometimes I had to make up my mind to eat the food. But after a few days, and I went out and I exercised, and I find myself bending over and stretching and running up and down and playing. And I was like, what a difference. What a difference. Yes? So a whole lot of us are eating ourselves to death and we don't know it. Only that maybe we might not have a testimony like I am giving today. I feel a million times better taking those things out. And the reason we took them out because we saw the videos with these things. So no more, when we saw the thing with the flour, no more bread that these people make, nor patty, nor biscuit, nor their cakes, nor anything like that. No more of their chicken and all the other abominations, cornmeal, etc. No more of that. All right? And the Most High has shown right before my eyes the same thing with Daniel. He has shown reward for getting rid of this thing. All right? So it might sound or feel tough, but the rewards are there. I am living testimony to that. All right. So who want to believe? Wanna believe, man. Yeah, man. Who wants to believe, believe. I am telling you, living testimony. As James Brown said, I feel good. And I can tell the world the difference. All right. And so I want to end with some encouragement. Philippians 3, verse 12.
Not as though I had already attained, either were already perfect, but I follow after, if that I may apprehend that for which also I am apprehended.
All right.
Of a Mashiach.
Yeah, so we can never assume that we have attained or are already perfect. We have to push to see if we can attain unto the Messiah, Yahushua. 13.
Brethren, I count not myself to have apprehended, but this one thing I do, forgetting those things which are behind, and reaching forth unto those things which are before.
You see? Forget all those things that are behind. When you reach upon this and realize that this is war, you forget everything that is behind and you push forward. So those abominable foods that you used to eat, you Consider them to be history, things of the past, and reach forward to those which are before. All right? Start cultivating a new appetite. And I tell you that a new appetite, this is someone who has become, who twice in my life I became vegetarian. And I can tell you it is an acquired taste. When you start move from the sweet, sweet taste of the sweet chicken and whatever, you are now eating more bland foods. For the first few times you eat it, it might taste a way out. Then you will acquire the taste. And all of a sudden, that which used to taste bland will now taste real nice to you. So forget what is behind and you press forward towards the mark. Go, continue.
Let us therefore, as many as be perfect, be thus minded, and if in anything he be otherwise minded, Allah shall reveal even this unto you.
So, as many as be perfect. So those of us who are in righteousness, this is what we have to do. Those who are not in righteousness, those who are in sin, cannot forget what is behind, because we will be ruled by our flesh, and our flesh cannot let go of the things of the past and let things be the past. All right? So those who are perfect are going to be thus minded, are going to be able to shed those things which are behind. Verse 16.
Nevertheless, whereto we have already attained, let us walk by the same rule. Let us mind the same thing.
All right. So let us walk by the same rule. Wherever we have already attained, all of us have to walk by the same example. All right? So you cannot be in a group. The rest of the group are eating another thing, an abomination, partaking of this GO, eating things that these people have polluted, and others among them who say, all right, we are not eating the king's meat, and are deciding not to eat the king's meat. And the rest of the people are there eating the king's meat. All right? This is dangerous for those who are so polluted. Dangerous who are keeping themselves being polluted with the king's meat. Verse 17.
Brethren, be followers together of me, and mark them which walk so as he have. And mark them which walk so as he have us for an example.
So who are you going to follow? You got to follow the example of those who are striving for the mark of the high calling. Those who are willing to give up on this world. Those who are willing to rather to die rather than to be stained. Those who are willing to sacrifice and give up everything not to be stained. These, he says, be followers together of me. Why did he say that? Because he is forgetting all that is behind and pressing to the mark of the high calling that is in Messiah, Yahusha. He's saying, follow me. Because if you follow an example of such a person, you cannot go wrong. If you have others who are not following and you are following them, then you are following the blind. And shall the blind lead the blind? Shall they not both fall in a ditch? The blind will be bringing you to your destruction. Verse 18.
For many walk, of whom I have told you often, and now tell you even weeping, that they are the enemies of the stake of Mashiach.
Continue.
Whose end is destruction, whose allure is their belly.
Hey. Whose allure is their belly. Their appetite rule them. What they want to eat rule them. They can't give up. When people come and tell them things, oh, they start criticizing the person. Oh, it's too zealous. Oh, nothing goes like that. Oh. The Most High sent people to show them the way. People are called to show people the way, and people will follow them, and they will listen to them. But when it reaches to a point where it touches their corn, where it is trying to push them to a point where they are not willing to go, then they turn and they will rebel on those people who come to them with these news. Is your God your belly? This teaching here today is very, very serious and very personal to each and every one of us. Is my God my belly? Is my belly ruling me? Because if it is, it says, whose end is destruction. This is a serious teaching. We listen to everything, and when it comes down to the belly, we rebel. No, sir. Can't stop eat this. Can't stop eat that. Won't stop eat this. Won't stop eat that. What am I going to eat? There's nothing for me to eat. There's this food, the first sin. This is what's going to map us up in the end. Bring us to destruction. Our belly. Read from verse 17, please.
Brethren, be followers together of me, and mark them which walk so as ye have us for an example. For many walk of whom I have told you often, and now tell you even weeping, that they are the example of the state, the enemies of the state of Hamashiach.
Continue.
Whose end is destruction, whose allure is their belly, and whose splendor is in their shame, who mind earthly things.
Who mind earthly things, worrying about what we shall eat or what we shall put on. Most High provides. We don't mind earthly things. Our conversation is in the Shamayim, verse 20.
For our conversation is in heaven, from whence also we look for the Savior, Yahushua HaMashiach, our Master.
For the Master Yahushua HaMashiach. Our conversation is in Shamayim, from whence. So we look on heavenly things, not on earthly things. We don't mind our belly. We look towards the mark of the high calling. Verse 21.
Who shall change our vile body, that it may be fashioned like unto his glorious body, according to the working whereby he is able, even to subdue all things unto himself.
All right, and the last verse of encouragement, Sirach 23, 5-6. This should be the last one. Sirach 23, 5-6. Read, please.
Turn away from me vain hopes and concupiscence, and thou shalt hold him up that is desirous always to serve thee.
All right, turn away from me vain hopes and my lusts, my personal lusts and desires. Verse 6.
Let not the greediness of the belly nor lust of the flesh take hold of me, and give not over me thy servant into an impudent mind.
Let not the greediness of the belly nor lust of the flesh take hold of me. Brethren, we are to forget what is behind us. We are in the time when the word says, if Mark 13:20 on the side here says, and except that Yahuwah had shortened these days, no flesh shall be saved, but for the elect's sake whom he hath chosen, he hath shortened the days. Very short time left in this world. As a matter of fact, in Revelation 13, is it 5? Tells us that the beast has 42 months. Is it 5 or 8? Has 42 months. It's a very short time. What are we going to do with this short time? Is our appetite going to lead us? Is our God our belly? Are we going to eat the polluted meat of the king? Are we going to continue partaking, ingesting this GO into our bodies because we refuse to be able to give up on our fleshly desires? What will we be? Will we end up as the first Adam, the one from the earth who is earthy, or will we end up being spiritual? The man from Shamaim, the man from heaven, the spiritual man. All right? Remember, the first sin involved food. Man is going to be wrapped up by the wicked in the end time through food. Genesis 3:6, and when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to make one wise, she took of the fruit thereof, and did eat, and gave also unto her husband with her, and he did eat. What are we going to do? Are we also going to eat and invite others to eat? That is the question. All right? So that is it for me for today. I'm going to hear Brother Mahar.
Shalom, family. As we hear the word came, so it is just for us to be mindful of the things that we eat. Let us go back to the scripture again to see what the Most High deemed for us clean and unclean. And don't go back on what is unclean to eat it. Nothing at all that is abominable. Let us be wise. Let us not be deceived by ourselves nor man. All right, so today it is very clear that the earth is given in the hand of the wicked. That is why we are preparing to give up on this wicked world. So we don't have to be partakers in that which is coming on us very, very soon. Because it is said the time will come when there'll be nothing at all out there. Nothing. Everything is going to be so short. So the plan for us is to plant what we eat and eat what we plant. And that which we can raise, we raise that which is clean for us to eat. So I hope that someone or anyone else who was listening really understand what's been said in the scriptures today. Shalom, and have a great rest of the Sabbath.
All right, so another thing of note is that a food might not be abominable on the outset or according to the scripture, but man makes the food abominable. By spiking that good food with an abomination, it makes the food abominable. All right? So if cornmeal or flour is spiked with GO, then that food now becomes abominable. Simple. So the word says, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge because you seek not knowledge. As long as we want the knowledge, we can find it. Right? And I recommend that website, bitchute.com, bitchute.com. That website is largely uncensored, and you can get all sorts of things that you cannot get on YouTube, on BitChute. Whole lot of bare truths, shocking truths sometimes, and things that can help us in our walk unto perfection. Because we have to get the knowledge, or we will be deceived through lack of knowledge. All right? Okay. So, all right, 2.5 hours. That was good time today. Good time for us today. All right. So, for those over there on YouTube, was there any question on YouTube? Yeah. All right. Thank you. Just want to say shout out to let me see, Lumox, we got Tim, My Sultry Sounds, and Shade Jones, the Word Up channel. Those people who are always in the chat. Very lively chat today. I'll have to go back and check it out. Whoa, 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 whoa. So many people. So many. Tobaya, Yasharal, Creatrix 13. All right. Thank you all for listening. Please like, share, subscribe to our video, all right? So that the word can continue to go out. Thank you all for watching, and thank you to the Just a Word family and to our family here with us. And just want to say shalom until next time. Oh, until next time. Just want to say shalom to everyone. All right. Love you all. Shalom. Of course, we will continue our broadcast on justawordradio.com. Justawordradio.com.